Well, good morning. It's Longhaultanker, straight razor shaving with Longhaultanker. And today is Friday, the 12th of July, 2024 at approximately 9:50 a.m. And we're going to do a straight razor shave and talk about the madness of the last 48, 72 hours and get, of course, you notice it's Friday and I'm home and I'm not out on the road. Hang on a sec. Set my coffee cup down. Tim Horton dark roast coffee. All right, let's go over the equipment first. I've got a lot to say. I'm still playing with the two new razors that I've recently received, and I've been working them and playing with them, and the last shave you saw on video was really quite nice, but I want more. And I'm going to see how much more I've gotten or can get. This will probably be the last time I use these. This is the tennis razor Fritz Brock. Nice. I love that greenish gold color. The inlay on there. Let's see if we can get Fritz Brock. There it is right there. That's a good shot. Okay, so there's that one. And then the Javoso Fockerbite. Javoso Soligen, Germany, number, what is that, 131, I believe it is. Yes. Javoso. And just another nice inlay on the scales. Just a lovely razor. Now, this one, I keep taking it further and further and more onto the Zulu Gray. Rub up just a very light slurry and take it down to nothing, dilute it. And this one I'm still using on the 4x2 travel conical that I showed you in a recent last video, I believe. All right. And my soap I'm using this morning is Savon Barbe Crystal d'Alum Osma, made in France. Osma shaving soap. Not very common, not very popular. I saw this first being used by Jared at the Superior Shave, and I said, I think I need some of that. And not at all unhappy with it. Of course, we got the Osma Island block here we'll use later. And so let's get started. The brush. The brush. Now, my Friday shave is usually off camera. But because I've got the extra day today and don't know exactly what the future is going to hold, my Friday shaves off camera are almost always the Sterling Soap Company, the big 31 millimeter not Badger, that's Boar, isn't it? And I just love this brush. So we'll put that back down in the water to let soak for a second or two. And this got a pleasant smell. It's more soapy than it is perfumey. But that's okay. And it's lathering up quite nicely. I'm going to load up that brush. And yes, I've got several things to say this morning as we get to going together here. Your first thing you may notice is my surroundings and environment. I am in the hall bathroom. My wife is still in bed this morning and we're taking it easy. I've been having a lot of hip problems in my right hip, and so I'm finding it difficult to lay on my side in bed. I'm finding it even difficult to walk a little bit. And so that's worrisome. And I will no doubt end up, if it continues on, the pain that is. I took 2 Tylenol this morning, 2 Tylenol last night before I went to bed, just to help me sleep because it's uncomfortable. But we'll get through that. "48 hours of whiskers." Let's see here. All right, here we go. Oh, the music I got on, you may remember the Barcelona Cafe track from last time. I just picked up where it left off and we'll go on with that. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but I'm right. The hallway bathroom is set between 2 spare bedrooms. One we use for a pet room, a cat room, and dog room. My wife don't like it when I omit the dogs, but I'm more of a cat person. Than a dog person. And the spare bedroom. So spare bedroom is behind me, out the door and to the left. And so I took my travel bag in there and set up. And so I am not in my master bathroom, but it's satisfactory. It's a good secondary backup to let my sweet wife sleep and rest without my clanging around. All right. Now, the first thing I want to make mention of this morning is my stepdaughter. And I'm going to call her name here. Her name is Rieva Assi, A-S-S-I. And I make mention of that specifically because she recently revealed to her mother and she's my stepdaughter, but she's as good as gold, I will tell you that. So she's as much a daughter as any of my own children would be, a loved child. All right, starting with the Fritz Brock. And she recently revealed to us that she's written 2 books, ebooks, and they are on the subject of parenting children with special needs and autism. And so she wanted me, and I'm happy to do it for her, to make mention of them on my videos to get her some widespread circulation. And if you know anybody that is, and you can imagine a young mother having to deal with a child that is a special needs child and autism, with autism, I will tell you, for an opening stroke and all the work that I put in and the number of sessions I put in on the travel codicle is working just great. So you can imagine the challenges and heartaches. And so I'm going to put a link to her books in the section below, and maybe you can be a blessing to somebody and allow my daughter Rieva to be a blessing to somebody through her writing. And trust me when I say, she's just the sweetest person you'd ever want to meet. Oh, that's just wonderful. This edge is wonderful. It is smooth. It is close. Oh my goodness. I think I've oh, that is super fine and smooth. Had a little oops moment there. Let me give a little shout out as I get started here to my usual favorites, Bill M. and Lukey 3262, also known as Matt Straight Face Shaved, is his channel, I believe. And I did have a bit of a text message exchange with him yesterday. And he's doing fine. He's spending a lot of time with a Christian group, and they're involved with fitness, and so they're doing a lot of running and studying of the Bible together. So they're spending a lot of time together. He's pretty much discontinued, so he says, his participation on the forums that he's once belonged to. And, you know, I saw Martin Shave Test's comments last night about he doesn't go along with all the forums and follow all. And I think more people are coming to that realization. I know Bill M. talks a lot about the foolishness and attitudes, dare I say. And so anyway, and he's started a new business, and he's trying to make a go of. But it was nice to chat with him, and on the text message. And so that's Matt, Lukey 3262, and of course Martin Shave Tests. He might get stainless steel down, I don't know. Then we got Sean Staplefeld over in Puerto Rico. My wife says to me, I've made mention of the two new guys I've been watching, Sean Staplefeld and Eric at the Cajun Blade. And so she says to me last night, late in bed, she said, who are these new guys you've been talking about? And so I brought some videos up and showed her. And she said, my wife now knows who you two guys are, and the rest, of course. But let me get into the meat of my conversation this morning. Of course, y'all may know that Hurricane Beryl had its landfall just south of Houston and just came roaring in. Early Monday morning, I believe it was. And of course, I'm out on the road. And my wife was supposed to go to Dallas and see her daughter and sister. I think the sister was having a birthday. But when she learned that the storm was coming, she said, nope, not going. And she stayed at home and battened down the hatches, prepared for what would come. And of course, the power went out sometime early Monday morning. Now, for the night, while she was sleeping in the early hours, she was not adversely affected. Yes, it was warm, but, you know, it's Texas. And so, if you know me, and we've ever talked, and we've talked about Bill M, and especially Bill and others maybe, talked about generators. I bought a new generator. We bought a new generator last summer. And if I remember right, it's 15,000 watt gasoline. And we did not, well, it's not natural gas. It's not an automatic start when the power goes out. So it's manual in many respects. And for the last year, since we got this thing, and it's gasoline operated in order to be ready at the moment's notice, I have kept and maintained 5 jugs, 5 gallons each of gasoline in the garage. Now, that's not to say it sat there for the whole year since last summer. I rotate the gasoline out. When my truck gets slow, I put 1 or 2 of those jugs in, and then I'll go fill up those jugs. So it wasn't old and stale gasoline, so it got rotated out fairly often enough that the gasoline stayed fresh enough. All right, let's go to the Javoso. And that, I don't think I'll need to do any more work on that tennis razor with the caudicle. It is just fabulous. I've always said the proof of a good honing is in the shave. And both of these razors are showing themselves to be wonderful. Sharp, smooth, comfortable. Did I say sharp? I think that's the same wound from my last shave. Oh well, those things happen. And remember my motto, if it ain't bleeding when the shave is over, it doesn't count. Right, Bill? And so I got home then, of course, on Wednesday morning, and lights were out, traffic lights were out. It's about an hour's drive from the yard to my house. And driving on the surface streets was a little bit of a challenge. Once I got up on the freeway, everything was fine. And by then, of course, my wife had been without power for 2 days. Early on, or when she got up on Monday and Tuesday, I didn't get home until about 12 noon. Well, a little earlier because she wanted me to get. When I come in from Portage, Wisconsin to Steele, Missouri, that's a 10-hour drive. Steele, Missouri to Shepherd, Texas, that's another 10-hour drive, but it's only an hour and 10 minutes approximately from there to the yard. And so I have a very easy drive on that Wednesday morning when I'm on that Portage, Wisconsin load, which I have been of late. In fact, I had 12 in a row. Oh, commercial. I got the remote. Let's see if I can get it from here. Yeah, I can. And she had used, of the 5 jugs, she had used 2.5. What we've discovered in this storm and usage of the generator and usage of the gasoline and the 5-gallon jugs, is that our generator burns about a gallon an hour. A gallon an hour. So a 5-gallon jug will last approximately 5 hours. And she doesn't run it continuously. She'll run it in the morning, late morning, for 2 or 3 hours. And then again, about 4 or 5 hours in the late, before bedtime, 4 or 5 hours before bedtime. So she's running about 8, 9 hours a day. And then it's off at nighttime. And indeed, that's pretty much the pattern that we followed after I got home. I said she used 2.5, I think it was 3.5 gallons, because that last half a gallon after I came home, we poured that half a gallon or half a jug into the generator and then topped it up with a partial of the 4th jug, because I took 4 jugs with me when I went to go find gas. And when I was driving home, she asked me to keep an eye open on the gas stations, which I did. And I was watching them too, also coming down with the big truck that morning at the gas stations I could see off to the side of the road. And they were all jammed up with lots and lots of vehicles trying to get in. I mean, it was, madhouse. And so I wasn't even going to try to go out into that kind of a situation. But when I got home and my wife said, go get some gas, the gas station nearest our house, I drove through the parking lot, and the doors were all locked up, and they either didn't have gasoline or they didn't have electricity or both or whatever. And so, if any of you have a Ring doorbell, you may know that with that comes the accessory of this social media called Neighborhood. And my wife was watching it closely, and about 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, my wife said, the Shell station's open. So I buzzed over there, and it's not but half mile, 3/4 of a mile up the road. And there were two driveways, two lines of traffic trying to go in, but the one coming from the other direction was longer. The one in the direction that I was going was shorter. And when I got into that line, I was number 7 in line. From start to finish, getting in line and getting fueled up. I had to fill up my pickup truck. I had to load 4 jugs and had no problem. And I was home within an hour. I'd call that a pretty good adventure, searching for gasoline. All right, across the grain. And we had a pretty serious conversation Wednesday evening after I got the gas and counting my lucky stars that I was able to get in there in such a short line, number 7 in line. We had a serious conversation about, did we make a good decision buying a gasoline generator rather than a multi-fuel generator with natural gas and tie into the natural gas line in the house. Now, 3 of my neighbors have done that with the natural gas. One's got a big Generac set up, and Generac comes out and maintains the unit. Of course, that's monthly contract stuff, and that's what we're trying to avoid financially. And but we were going to look into it, and there's a 22,000 watt Generac that runs for about $5,000 on the internet, various Home Depot, Lowe's, Amazon, and such places. And my wife informed me that, and I knew this, I just forgot, maybe, that the gasoline generator that we got last summer was about $1,600, 15,000 watt. And you don't need but about half of that, and even less, to fully power a house, air conditioner, lights, internet, all of the usual daily stuff. The only thing you got to be careful about, you can run the oven or you can run the washer and dryer. You can't run all 3 at the same time because that'll put an overload on the generator. Okay, fine. That's understandable and easy to control when you're using the generator. You just don't, and there's a whole transfer situation you've got to do. At the electrical box, when you're going to electricity generated electricity, so there's a whole thing. I'm not going to go into that. But we slept on it overnight. Should we or should we not get another new generator with natural gas features or not? And here's what we concluded for us. No, not going to do that, because it's just that much more of expense, and it's a lot more expense. Plus, then you got to have the plumber come out and plumb the lines to tap into the natural gas. You got to get a bigger meter, because if you don't have a bigger meter, it will inhibit the gas flow to the generator and then the other equipment in the house that uses natural gas. So that's not a good setup. And so what we've decided to do is we ended up using electricity came on about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So we have electricity now, and that's a city generated electricity, and that's a good thing. So all in all, we use about, like I say, 6.5 jugs. So that'd be about 32 gallons overall of gasoline to run the generator on our periodic schedule, not 24 hours a day, over call it 5 days. And so what we've decided, and it was a bit of a concern and a hassle to go out while the electricity was still out and so many neighborhoods round about still out, and try and hope and find gasoline, because most of the gas stations were just overwhelmed. So what we've done, and we've already ordered, we have ordered 5 more jugs. That way we'll have 10 jugs of gasoline stored in the garage. You know, you guys can tell me all about the safety hazards of that, but hey, I deal with hazmat chemicals and flammable chemicals all day long. As long as you keep the fire away, keep the tops on the jugs a little bit loose so they can breathe and don't swell up. And we've been doing it with 5 jugs for nearly a year, almost 12 months, if not over 12 months at this present time. So given the usage schedule that we did use, with 10 jugs, we think we can get 10 days worth. Now, it's unlikely, although it has happened here in Houston. Hurricane Ike in 2008, we were without electricity for about 7 days then. And we've had shorter, just a few hours, outages earlier this year where we use it just barely. And so with 10 jugs of gasoline, we think we can get about 6 to 7 days. Well, if it took, call it 5 days, we can get about 10 days usage. Now, don't think that I store, I think I said this already, but I'll say it again. I rotate through the gas. They'll sit for a few weeks and I'll decide to put start changing them out and put the gasoline in my truck and go get fresh gasoline for the jugs. So that's that. We're in good shape. We got a plan. The plan served us with 5 jugs. The plan served us adequately. I won't complain about that at all. The only concern was when we started getting low on gasoline, are we going to be able to find gasoline at an open station? Well, the emergency was still going on. Now, let me change gears a little bit, still weather related. Let me talk to you about directed energy weapons. Do not think that these storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires are naturally occurring events. They are not. These are government-controlled weapons. They are designed to attack enemy strongholds. In their opinion, who's the enemy? Well, it sure seems like right now, with all that's going on in our home country, that the natural-born citizen is the enemy, especially if you're, we'll just say Christian. We might add other modifiers to that. Now, so you've got an agenda. It's called this green agenda. And you're blaming everything. You're blaming the change you're blaming the change on alleged naturally occurring phenomena. Except it's not. You're directing it. So you create the problem, you create the alleged solution to the problem in the form of this color here, energy, and tell us we got to pay for it in the tune of $1 trillion over 10 years. You know, that takes a lot of manly fortitude. Okay, where am I at? And so there's nothing natural about any of this. We're being scammed, we're being attacked. Our way of life is being attacked. Let me tell you, I like the Western way of life for the most part. That is to say, I like grocery stores. I like cattle feedlots. And other agricultural activities that bring us what we need. Did you ever see Milton Friedman's little video on the pencil and all of the how a pencil is not just how it's made, but where all the different stuff's got to come from: the wood, the graphite, the rubber for the eraser, the ink for the stamping on a pencil, all of it. It's an amazing video. Milton Friedman was a world-renowned economist under Ronald Reagan back in the 80s, and that's how the free market works. And I say free market, the Western market. Some of these knotheads have used the notion of a free market, as Donald Trump would say, to make stupid decisions. You can come into our market free, no tariffs, but we can't go into your market without exorbitant tariffs. And it's like the boss said, but who makes these decisions? These are stupid decisions. And give away the store and create declining economic circumstances in our own country. Manage decline. No, I'm very annoyed. And my voice reflects it. Not just my voice, but my vote will reflect it. That, Maui, Hawaii, who benefited and who lost? Do I need to say it? Who benefited, West Texas cattle ranch fires earlier this year. Why? Well, because cows fart. And Texas is more red than blue. All the tornadoes in the South, in the Midwest. I know you're not supposed to say the term illegal alien, but rather undocumented migrants. It's the same reason, the displacing and destruction of a voting bloc. But you're not supposed to say that. Oh, commercial. Uh-oh, something didn't go right. When the power's been on, whether by generator or city electricity, we've not had any problems with the internet. It'll boot back up and and this has been going on for a long time with these energy-directed weapons, whether it be hot, whether it be cold. There's not anything natural. I'm not going to go into all the details. They're readily available on the internet, even from direct sources. They tell you they've got them and here's how they work. Oh, but we trust our government. Bullshit. Never forget why they actually assassinated the last assassinated president. I'm going to break it up in 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the wind. Do you know what he was talking about? little more blood than what I would prefer, but we're doing all right. Not like any real cuts or serious nicks. By the number of notifications I'm getting from the neighborhood program, there's still plenty of people without power here in Houston, and that's a very sad event. And tell me why that these electric companies, regulated by state regulatory commissions, do not build out enough capacity and protect it. Now, I've heard that can be done by building underground and a number of different ways to harden and protect our utilities, not just electricity, but all of them. And I don't understand why they don't do that. It's almost like they're trying to bilk us for everything and deliver nothing. And over the last 2 to 3 years with the, especially in Texas, and we got this weird system where an independent grid, as I understand it, and we know why. It's because they depend so much on the turbines, and they freeze and they break and they won't produce. Well, it seems to me I remember somebody saying, honey, let's drive. We can't drive because there's no wind or there's no sunshine. It would be nice to have a completely reliable and protected energy grid, utility services, and I'll go a step further, and that is our food production. I remember one of the very first, it seemed like that there was always a series of catastrophes that started up about 3.5 years ago, counted up, to inflict damage upon the supply chain. And one of the first, I drove right by this place and still do on almost every trip when I go to Portage, Wisconsin or Toronto, Ontario, up that direction. And that is Butterball. They do the turkeys, right? In West Memphis, Arkansas, had a fire in their main production facility. Now, it's up and running now. It's been rebuilt, and presumably they're running, because I drive by there and I see where the fire was, the damage it created, and now they're back up and running. But if you're one of the super elite of the world, Klaus Schwab, Economic Forum, George Soros, Rothschilds, oh, there's a forbidden name. I'm going to get blocked. I know I am. You will own nothing and be happy. You will eat the bugs. And there are studies that are coming out that these bugs, they might deliver protein, but the exoskeleton that they grind up in the making of this meal, protein meal, is poisonous to the human system. Don't eat the bugs. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a truck driver who drives the roads. Forget my education, but I read everything. And some of you who get my text messages, and you know who you are, know that I read everything because I send them to you. Okay, let's rinse it off and see what we got. Now, I will say, when I was coming back home from this last trip, that especially once I got through Little Rock, Arkansas, and started coming down I-30 toward Texarkana, that there were lots and lots of utility truck crews that were making their way south. Then when I got to the truck stop at Shepherd, an hour or so north of Houston, there were literally 20 or 30 utility truck crews parked in there for the night. Of course, I'm sure they got to abide by DOT driving hour regulations as well, as I do. But you would think they'd be exempt due to the emergency of the situation. And indeed, when I drove into my neighborhood on Wednesday, coming home, there were 4 utility trucks on my very street. Now, it took them till yesterday afternoon, so that'd be better than 24 hours till power was restored to at least to our neighborhood, my neighborhood. Not too bad. All right, on to the head shave. We're going to use the Javoso Fokker bite. And I just love this brush. Now, let me talk about my next load. So I got in. So let me back up. When I delivered on Monday, as I always do, I called in, told them that the delivery went successfully. And what I found interesting, this was about 10 o'clock in the morning that I made the call, and the night dispatch guy, I'll call his name Mike, was still on duty at 10 in the morning. The storm was still raging. And he said, "No, I'm the only one here." And so I knew they wouldn't have anything new on the board yet. And so I called back on Tuesday. They were still without power. Nope. No new loads on the board. In fact, they weren't even able to get out of the yard, number one. Number two, without power, they couldn't do the washouts and the maintenance required on the trailers to prep them and get them ready to go get loaded. So it's been an interesting couple of days. Finally, Wednesday afternoon, after I got in, I spoke to the personnel on duty. One of the dispatch ladies said, we should have that on the board this afternoon. I'll put you on it and I'll call you. No, she said, you call me. I said, well, it's about an hour drive to get home. Would that be a good time to call when I get home? She said, yes. So I called, and sure enough, portage had been posted on the board for Friday load time as per usual. And, well, that was good news. I thought I'd be on the road today. And as you can see, I'm not. And so I got a call yesterday afternoon saying they were still without power. The preload maintenance from the shop could not be performed because they were still without power. And so I'm supposed to call back in this morning. About 11, they said, that they would probably know more. They had their generators running, but I was told that the totality of their generators does not create enough electricity for the entire plant to run. Well, oh, that's beautiful. Okay. But I told my dispatchers and the terminal manager that I said, look, I don't mind taking a week off until you guys get back up to speed and everything gets back into rotation, which means I could be home waiting for a portage load till next Friday, which is fine with me. I've got no argument with that. I've been running very hard lately, 12 in a row, and a little break would be welcome. And there's young family men with kids who could probably use the load. Not that I like not getting paid. I like getting paid. But I can withstand some things better than the young family guys. I did have a shave on Wednesday, but it was later in the day, off camera. But I'm glad the power is back up. And when the power came back up and we turned the generator off, and we had 1.5 empty jugs of gasoline, I told my wife, I said, I'm going to go run up to the gas station here in our neighborhood and see if they're open. I guess I could have called first, but I didn't. Because I'm sure it was. They got, I don't know if they'd had gasoline, but they'd be open with electricity. And so I got up there, and sure enough, it was open. There were people fueling their cars. No lines, several pumps open. You know, it's one of these that have 10, 15 pumps at it. So I filled up the 2 jugs with no problem and came on home. And that was about 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And when I got ready to go and backed out of the driveway, here comes our yard crew to cut the grass, clean the debris. And when I got home from the gas station and my gas was replenished and restored, the generator had been packed up and set aside in its storage position. The lights were on. The yard was cut and clean. And it was almost like nothing happened during the week. Of course, it did. And the good news is we're not out a lot of money. When I went up there to fill the truck on Wednesday and fill the 4 jugs, the total gasoline expense for the truck and the 4 jugs was $110. And right now, that's all I can say that I'm out of pocket, other than the new 5 jugs we ordered to go along with the existing 5 jugs. And I think that was about, what did my wife say? About $80. We'll just say $80 for that. So 80 and 110, that's $190. That's all I'm out of pocket. At this present time, I don't know what else may present itself. We may have some loose shingles on the roof. And I'll be honest, I haven't even looked up there yet to see. But my wife did look, because I asked her about it right after the storm terminated. And she said, I don't see anything. You know, and that's, you know, my wife's not a roofer, and I wouldn't expect her to be one. Nor am I. I'm going a rather long time here, and it's because I'm doing so much talking, but appreciate you staying with me. We'll be done here in a moment or two. Okay. Ozma Allen Block. Okay. No blood. As smooth as a baby's bottom. Everywhere. Oh yeah, just, all right, so. Lucky Tiger, Face Tonic, Aftershave and Face Tonic, soothe and refresh with aloe vera, calendula, and chamomile. Of course, smells like citrus, orange in particular. I'm going to let that dry for a minute because I've got to aftershave. Cologne I'm going to put on. We're going to have a sip of coffee. More like a gulp. Tim Horton coffee. We like that coffee. My first introduction to it was up in Canada several years ago. All right. We're using red tobacco. I see no breakdown of the scent. All right. They don't write it, I won't say it. And so here's the little vial. Mancera, red tobacco, EDP. Okay, fine. I don't know what an EDP is. I hear the term all the time. Okay. I use a half a vial. And it smells wonderful. Yes, it does. Oh, and I would be remiss if I did not say that my lovely stepdaughters, the Rieva Assi, who I mentioned earlier in a video, who wrote the 2 books, and her sister, they buy me these sample sets every so often, Father's Day, birthday, whatever. I've gotten 3 of them over the last several years, and I've got a box. I use these sparingly because I don't want to ding them to death and say, send me another one. And so I still have a certain quantity in reserve. And with this latest one they sent for Father's Day, I'm well set for a while. So that's it. I am done. We're up and running. Everything is returning to normal with electricity, and as I've outlined already. But do go and take a look at those. I'll provide the link below, and for my daughter Rieva Assi, and the books that she has written on parenting children with special needs and autism. Good stuff that she's wrote from a very simplistic and motherly sort of perspective. So that's it. That's all I've got. I will see you down the road. Thank you very much.